Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That's it. No. Omagyantimirandasya gananjana shalakaya chakshur umnitam gira tasmai sri guru Chaitanya Guru Vishtam Stapitamina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swakrantika Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Nityananda Sri Veda Gadadhara Sri Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
So in 1977, when Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada left his body, I was in his room. I was very fortunate to be there. And the last thing he said was everything moving, and he lifted up his hand. His body was already struggling. He already went, And I've heard this noise before. When my brother died, my father died. Who has seen somebody dying in this room? You know this noise. You know, that means mucus is gathering. And you know, it's coming to the end. You know, that's the end. Once that starts, he's struggling. And so his body was struggling. At one stage, his hand went up very peacefully like this, and I was surprised, you know, it's like this, and everybody listened. And then he said, it took him some time to speak this. He said, everything moving and non-moving, there's nothing but Krishna. That this consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. And then after minutes, he went, Hare Krishna, and he left his body. Anta Narayana Smriti, he who remembers God at the end of life, he goes back to him. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, tyajanti anti kalivaram tam tamivati kauntiya sadata bhava bhavita. The mind is at the time of death, there we will go. So it is not rocket science to understand where Prabhupada went, because his last words were Hare Krishna, and everything moving and non-moving. There's nothing but Krishna. Whatever we see, Yoma mam pashyati savatra, savam chamai pashyati, tasyamna pranashyami sachamina pranashyati. One who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I'm never lost to him, Krishna says. Nor is he ever lost to me. And also it is stated in Bhagavad Gita by the Lord that Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after many, many births, Jnanavanam Prapadati, one who is wise, he surrenders unto me, Vasudeva Savamiti, because he sees that I'm everything. Samhatma Sudula Baha, such a great soul is very rare. So Prabhupada was one of these rare souls. This is a moment of truth when people die. Then it comes out, you know, that he was deeply absorbed in Krishna. He was Krishna's representative in this world. And we could see that because before Prabhupada came, if Prabhupada would have come in the 1950s to America, the war was behind America, Britain was economically ruined, Germany was economically ruined, Italy was ruined, or Europe was ruined. That's why India got independence. That's why some people in India are grateful to Hitler, because he ruined the British economy. So they had to let all the parts and parcels of the empire, of the British Empire, they went. They were let loose because they were at the end of their infrastructure to maintain all this. They were economically ruined. So, how did I get there?
Prabhupada came in the 60s.
Huh?
Prabhupada came in the 60s.
So if he would when he would have come after the war, America was the only nation in the world that made big money on this war. Germany paid, the British paid for all the ships. They were not for free. No bomber came to Europe for free. It was to be paid by England. They had to pay. And so the American economy was booming. War means booming. And when the economy went down, they went to war to Korea, and this war, that war, they're always making money. Like this. And so in that time, in the 50s, everybody was rolling high in America. Everybody was enjoying Frank Sinatra, Satchmo, Louis Armstrong saying, beautiful America. You know, the American dream. People, when I came to America the first time, I was shocked. People were driving in cars big as rooms, gigantic. Enormous amount of money in America. So at that time, it probably would have come in the 50s at the time of Frank Sinatra or Elvis Presley, it would have been very difficult for him to find people. But then a revolution broke out among young people. They were not satisfied with this lifestyle. They said, what is the use of all this? And they were getting into yoga, into meditation. Excuse me. I saw an interview with a German foreign minister on television. He said, they reckon at that time when Prabhupada came, and that there was such a movement of young people going to India in search of a guru, in search of yoga, in search of the spiritual answers. He said, we reckoned that about 100,000 young people went to India per month from Germany. He said, we're losing our youth. He said, we were extremely worried. We were worried. You know, I had discussion with our Prime Minister at that time, you know, Chancellor. He said, we're losing our whole youth is going to India. Everybody is leaving colleges, leaving their education. And so that was the time that Prabhupada appeared. It was Krishna's arrangement, because Krishna is in charge. It was high time. People were dissatisfied with their lifestyle. I told my father, I said, why are you living in a house? Because I was a radical student. I said, you're living in a house like a capitalist. And he said, and you live in this house. And my grandmother, she was sitting on a rocking chair, and she said to my father, Wilhelm, he will also build his house. It just takes some years. And she was right. You know, Wilhelm, das kommt so mit den Jahren, in good old German, last century old German, it kommt. Das kommt so mit den Jahren, she said. He will also build his house, das kommt so mit den Jahren. Because as people grow older, you know, I mean, even nowadays, you know, the people that run around with the, what do you call it, European? Mohawk haircut, and the bones to their nose. 10 years later they're married and they have a tie and they stand in a bank as a teller. Completely normal. They got it out of their system. Young people are wild. That is the tendency, particularly in Western countries. In Western countries, the young people are wild. They're out of control. And so if Prabhupada would have come earlier, it would have been difficult. He came just at the right time. And big musicians like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, they had donated, according to Shamashunda, 20,000 pounds to buy the beams in the first temple he had in Soho Street. The redwood beams were bought by the Rolling Stones even. Even they gave money. And they're pretty wicked. That's a pretty wicked outfit. And the whole world, the youth world was moved. Yoga was in, India was in, etc. And so many people joined this movement at that time. Not just hippies, many people like our Swab Damodar, he was a PhD, and Sariputta was a PhD. Haridananda came from college, I came from college. I studied comparative religion. Not just people who were down and outs at all. Many, many people from wealthy families had joined ISKCON because they were not satisfied with the lifestyle of the parents. They thought it was pure materialism. Doesn't need to end there. We want more. I read Bhagavad Gita. I remember the first edition was the Penguin edition. I read it as 18. And I couldn't figure it out. You know, this talk about non-violence, but there's a war. And so many things I couldn't figure out. I read another one. And finally I found Prabhupada's one. And when I read that, in fact, I translated it into German. I became the translator of this book in German language. And that makes sense to me. Because here was somebody, he was practicing what he was preaching. He was practicing. Bhagavad Gita was his life. He was on the battlefield and he fought up to the end, like Arjuna. Prabhupada said to us, I want to die like Arjuna on the battlefield. He said, don't put me in a hospital. You know, I want to fight for Krishna. So he fought. Every morning, 2 o'clock, you walked by his room, he was translating. Every morning. I have seen him at 1 o'clock. I walked by his room in Vrindavan. We hear, so Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he was translating. And up to the evening, only sleeping 2 hours a day, not more. In fact, he would never, one time, I remember, we left Prabhupada in India after staying for 3 weeks. I was just talking with this Prabhu about it. So in the late at night, by 12 o'clock, we passed by his house on our way to get a taxi to Indira Gandhi Airport in Delhi. And the servant was at the door. He said, where are you going? He said, we're leaving. We go back to Germany. He said, you should say bye-bye to Prabhupada. get his blessing. I said, well, is he not sleeping? No, he doesn't really sleep. So Prabhupada was lying in bed, and I walked in his room together with Vedavyas Prabhu, now Bhakti Gauravani Maharaj. And Prabhupada was just hardly moving his lips. He said, somebody came. Who's that? And I said, Srila Prabhupada, it's us, Prithu Das and Vedavyas, we are on our way to Germany, we're leaving. Prabhupada said, I wish you all the best. Chant Hare Krishna, preach Krishna consciousness, all that. And so we left. And so he was not sleeping. That was in the middle of night. He was aware, but he was deeply resting, in a deep rest. So he fought like a lion up to the end of his life. Every inch of his life was fight. From the early morning to late at night. To put this into practice, to preach this gospel of Krishna all over the world. So then the temples were full. We had many devotees at that time. Then when Prabhupada came, things faded. And now we don't have so many devotees. Somebody may say, what does that mean? Well, it's very easy to understand. Time is cyclic. After the summer, there's autumn. After autumn, there's winter. Nothing happens. After winter, there's spring, and then it's summer again. It will happen like this. That was Confucius, he used to say, what is full will be empty, and what is empty will be full. Krishna is in control, and Krishna has a plan. And that plan was revealed 5,000 years ago. There's a discussion in a book called the Prema Bhagavata Purana. Prema Bhagavata Purana. There's a discussion between Krishna and Ganga. And Ganga said, my dear Lord, people take bath in my river to become purified. And he said, and it will go on like this, Krishna says. People that don't want to change, but they want to get rid of their sins and bathe in you. He said, but everything will change very soon. And so Ganga said, how is that? You can read it, Prema Bhagavata Purana, or one of the Puranas. And Krishna says, everything will change. He said, in this Kali Yuga, there will be 10,000 years of Satyayuga. So Ganga said, how is that possible? People are wicked, people are sinful, how can they be Satyayuga? And he said, it will change. So Ganga asked, how will it change? And Krishna said to Ganga, there will be three things. First of all, there will be widespread chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Widespread chanting of Krishna. And that's what we're experiencing. There's even yoga societies in the West are chanting Hare Krishna. Widespread. And it will get more and more and more. Gradually. Now we're in winter. This is the peace before the storm. It will get more and more. It will not be diminished. Simply because it is Krishna's will. Widespread chanting. Lord Chaitanya, he came 500 years later. And he said that, Priti Viti Achiyati Nagaradi Grama. In every town and every village my name will be chanted. And now we have distributed so many books. But yes, people don't read these books. Very few people. It's not easy to read a Krishna conscious book. So you have to be very concentrated. Easiest time is to read early in the morning, when your mind is fresh. But my father, he was in a German concentration camp. I was just telling this Prabhu. And he was telling me that before the concentration camp, we had so many Bibles and nobody would read it. But in the concentration camp, everybody wanted to read the Bible. And to read the Bible, you had to give to the owner of the Bible a cigarette. And that was very difficult to get in a concentration camp. Because everybody, people said, just let me read for 5 minutes. I need to read something about God. So all that's needed is that Krishna turns the tap a little, puts a little bit more pressure on human society. And we see it. We live in a much more different time than 20 years ago. You know, in Germany, the foreign minister there said we have to be very careful with stopping in our agitation against Russia. We're going into the direction of war. Putin said the same thing. So we are coming to a situation, we will all see that things don't go up and up and up. Things are on decline also. And it needs that sort of shock to humanity. They need to suffer first to come to their senses and wake up from their foolishness, trying to manipulate matter. The world, how it is going, cannot go on. The rivers are polluted, the oceans are polluted, the air is polluted, your bodies are polluted, the food is polluted, everything is polluted. We devoured in the last 30 years one third of the resources of the entire planet. How can this go on? How long can Krishna tolerate the killing of millions of cows? It can't be tolerated. It's just a matter of time that everything will change. And Prabhupada said the people in the skyscrapers in New York, they will starve to death. He predicted. Prabhupada, he stood in 1968, Prabhupada stood in front of the the World Trade Center. And he said, and all this, the devotee showed him, he said, this is the biggest building we have in America. And Prabhupada said, and all this will collapse. This was 25 or 35 years before it actually collapsed. I remember Shama Sundar told me that when Prabhupada left the house of John Lennon, he was upset about the way how they were behaving, the Lennons. And Prabhupada sat in the car and he said, and now he will die a very violent death. And 20 years later, somebody went to Mr. Lennon and said, Mr. Lennon, he shot him into the head and killed him. So Prabhupada predicted that. He predicted the collapse of the World Trade Center. He said, these people in these skyscrapers, they don't know what they're doing. They will starve to death. That's what's going to come. And so the world cannot go on the way it's going on. It's not possible. It's just that we're going to destroy the planet so quick that Krishna has to pull the plug out. And that is happening. And once that's happening, you will see that people will read these books. They will be on their knees first. Chatu Vavida Bhajanti Mam. It is said that 4 pious men surrender unto me. And the biggest group is those who are in distress. In distress. And young people in the West, in the 60s, they were in distress. They didn't like the Western lifestyle. They were not comfortable. They were in distress and they turned to Krishna. So in the same way, Krishna predicted there will be wholesale, not wholesale, how do you call it? Large, extended chanting of the holy name. And then he said, the next thing that will happen, 2 things, 3 things. And people will read Bhagavad Purana. And if you look at Bhagavad Purana said that this literature will cause a revolution in mankind. We have read this verse so many times. That's what it means in Brahma Bhagavata Purana. It will cause a revolution. People will read Bhagavatam. Any one of you, if you read Bhagavatam every day, my son, he started reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day, 40 pages. His whole life changed. His whole life. Now he's a full-time devotee. Just by reading Bhagavatam. That is the second thing that will change humanity, because Ganga was asking, what will change people? What is it? He said, the chanting of the holy name of God. And second, what will change is the reading of Bhagavatam. People will turn to this literature. And we are distributing this literature, because now you can still distribute. Prabhupada said, please distribute my books as long as you can distribute them. There will be a time you can't distribute them anymore. You know, so we distribute these books. Every second the Bhagavad Gita is sold somewhere in the world. The Prime Minister, PM of India, he said, I was there during the inauguration of our temple. He said that Vajpayee, no Vajpayee? Yeah, Atai. Vajpayee. He said that ISKCON has done the greatest service to India by distributing Bhagavad Gita all over the planet. The greatest service. He said this book has gone all over the world. Since. And I was just last week, I gave some lecture in some yoga circle, and some of the yogis said, well, we are using Bhagavad Gita as it is in our presentation, Prabhu's Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna planned it. There's nothing we can do against Krishna's plan. It's going to happen, whether you like it or not. And there will be wholesome chanting of the holy name. There will be wholesome reading, large reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the other thing he said is that people will offer their food to God. Well, that's what we are doing. That's the first thing we learn in Krishna consciousness, to offer our food to Krishna. So now this movement is very small. But Arjuna was alone. Krishna opted, he said, when Krishna shows the universal form to Arjuna, he says, all these, he said, don't worry about mundane morality, whether you should kill or not. He said, they're already killed. Bhima, Bhishma, Dronacharya, Duryodhana, they're all killed already, I decided. Why did Krishna decide? Because he comes, Parit Trinanaya Sadhunam, to bless the sadhus, Vinashaya Chaduskitam. Because he was fed up. And Krishna is completely fed up with Western civilization, that's much I can tell you. He's fed up. He had it. And so Krishna decided it has to go. So his conclusion was that the Kauravas had to go. And so before, when he showed the universal form, he said, don't worry about mundane morality. You can be just an instrument in this fight. Time I am destroyer of the worlds. This is Bhagavad Gita. That's the situation there. And this is Bhagavad Gita that we are living right now. And things will change. After the summer, there will be winter. And after winter, there will be summer again. And so the prediction is, then the next thing that happened, the next big thing, that Krishna actually not only talks to Ganga, he appears in the 15th century. What you see here on the altar, it's Lakshman and Ram right there. The same Ram, he comes back as Lord Chaitanya. In Krishna Lila, he's Krishna. In Ram Lila, he's Ram. In Chaitanya Lila, he's Chaitanya. The same Ram came back in Krishna Lila as Balaram. Lakshman came back as Balaram. Then Balaram came back as Nityananda. So he came simply to put his word, his decision into practice, his plan that he revealed to Ganga 5,000